What's good, everybody? This is your boy Dantrell Felton, and this is Closing the Circuit, where we are on a journey together trying to achieve our master's electrician's license. And I've been going for a little bit. This test and the studying portion takes a lot of focus, and you have to get dialed in and make sure you're doing what you need to do to create an environment to stay focused and just lock in on the studying. There is a lot of studying. There's things that you don't know that you have to pick up on. And I'm just going to go over quickly today how my experience has been, and I guess give tips based on my experience for anybody who's starting or about to start as well. So the first things first, um, shout out to the guys at Exam Pros. I got my books. They actually invited me to their warehouse, which was pretty cool. So I got to talk to my guy Jeff, who set me up with the books. And I actually got to meet the owner as well. Pretty cool guy. He has a couple of licenses and they're doing some good work up there. So shout out to their team. Uh, Today specifically, I think we'll talk about the NFPA. The first thing I wanted to highlight is tabs. Tabs are very important. So you want to get a good system going with practice exams, so you can learn and get the flow and the feel and the speed of how to source the information in the book. And the key component to that is going to be your tabs. So here's my tab setup, and you see there's plenty of tabs, and there's a certain way you should do this. So as far as the study guide, I'm using Electrical Exam Coach. He's doing really great work. He's on YouTube. I followed him. I did some of his free exam practice when I was using the 2014 that I have, and he does some really good work. So I actually went ahead and subscribed to his pro version, which did a test run for a month, but I'll probably buy the lifetime version. He's pretty spot on, and it's a reasonable price. So with if you can see, there's some color variation here. The white tabs come with the exam, and I'm sorry if I'm saying the name wrong. The exam pro setup, which is the basic white tabs. This gives you an idea like contents, definitions, pretty much all the important chapters and different titles of the sections, which is really good. So I ran with that first, and then I found myself spending a lot more extra time. And this is no knock on these guys. They're pretty cool, but I felt as a person being new to sourcing the book so heavily that this wasn't enough to help me source it fast enough. So there's a section on the Electrical Exam Coach where he talks about his tabbing method, which he uses the Mike Holt version. Mike Holt is like the gold standard top tier guy. It's very expensive, but he's well known in the contracting education space. So what he recommended is using the Mike Holt tabs, and the Mike Holt tabs adds a little bit more definition, a little bit more meat and potatoes to your search. So if you look between each chapter, you'll see them color coded, and it gives you a little bit more of a nuance. And you might not think it's a big deal at first, because I thought it wasn't a big deal at first, but these tabs shorten your search time big time. And one thing that he did offer is in the index, which you're going to live in index. The index is super important. Is that and I'm looking at the camera. I mean, I'm not looking at the camera, so I'm making sure I can show you guys. If you can see here, the index. I don't know. Okay. Yeah. So the index is lettered, which is very, very important. This test is about speed and you can go through the index and you can continuously look for section P or N or O or L and N. But if you can see where it is immediately, it shaves some time off, because sometimes you're going to index something, you're going to look for something, and it's not going to be there, or it'll reroute you to another section. So that's just adding time and time and time. So that is very important. And like I said, I'll go to a part where I was just studying chapter 9, which is the table section. So here, chapter 9, tables, right? There you go. Now that's just chapter 9. Fine, all the tables are there. But you see these tabs up here? These are very important. You have the chapter 4 tab at the bottom, which is raceway dimensions. You have chapter 5 tab, chapter 6. So it helps you get to your destination a lot faster. So that is very important. I mean, if I would have a recommendation, honestly, it would be the Mike Holt tabs for sure. They're a lot more detailed, but I also like the size of the Exam Pros tabs. So I had already placed those, so you can't get rid of them. But I think the setup of having both works for me. If you do have both and you feel like you'll be comfortable, I say use both. Just make sure that the positioning works out so you're not throwing yourself off from the schematic of how you should tab it. Next thing would be the questions. So in my experience now, the questions are trickier than they are hard. This is a reference test. You're referencing the information. So they know that you can go right to the answer if you really get good at referencing the book. However, they throw a couple of curveballs in the question, and the main thing you have to do is pay close attention to each question, and you want to highlight the main ideas of the question. So they might not ask you how many wires can fit in a raceway. They'll ask you how many wires can fit if you have this amount. It's just like very nuanced, little tricky questions. So you have to make sure you like keep hold of each part of the question is very important. Going back to what I said earlier, navigating the index is key. The index and figuring out what's the main idea of the question and where to go into the index to point you into the right direction. So that part, honestly, where I am now, you do have to have a little bit of context of some of these chapters. I was asked a couple of questions about certain topics I didn't know anything about, and I found myself just looking and looking and looking, and I couldn't find it. So there are parts to where you're going to have to go back and learn a little bit more about. Let's say, for instance, for the most of my career, I mainly, if I say 90% of the time, use Schedule 80, Schedule 40 PVC pipe. It's outside, it's rugged, it's rigid. I use EMT when building an electrical vault, but that would be, once every who knows how many years that I'm using EMT. There's a lot more different types of pipe throughout the trade. So you just have to familiarize yourself with the names, what the uses are, and just kind of have an idea. So you can see it, you can recognize it. You may not know everything about it, but you understand what you're looking for. So that's another thing that's very important. The math is not very difficult. I would say if I had to give it a level, I would say it's somewhere near middle school logic as far as math, which that's not knocking anybody, especially if you had trouble with it, because most of us as adults are far removed from doing a lot of math throughout the day. So, and throughout the course of our career, especially if we're outside, you're measuring some pipe or you're doing some quick math. But I would just say, if you're not confident in math, just get in the rhythm of doing some arithmetic, some pre-algebra, some geometry, just to get the juices back flowing. And I think you'll do fine. It's nothing that you need to go learn, calculus or algebra 2 or whatever. Now, me being in school right now has helped me a lot. I'm naturally good at like mental math, so that helps. But just some of the framing and logic of the math questions has cut down the time I spend doing the math portion. So you can go online and do Khan Academy. And I would just suggest, maybe doing 15 to 30 minutes of Khan Academy leading up to you getting ready for the test. So by the time you're doing the questions and the practice questions, you've knocked some of the rust off. What else do I have on my list? Um, okay, so studying and figuring out the time to study is very key. We all live extremely busy lives. I don't know if you've seen some of my last videos, but I'm the one of two inspectors for a whole city, as far as our engineering department. So I spend a lot of time running around, talking to contractors, checking jobs, doing pre-construction meetings. And then when you get home, you're tired. I got two boys and a wife. So I have a full life. So finding the right amount of time and the right flow of studying matters. So I'm downstairs in my house now. Luckily for me, thank God I have an enclosed office. So I kind of have space away from everybody. You probably can't hear it right now, but my son's upstairs with YouTube playing and Fortnite going, and there's a lot of noise. So you want to be able to remove yourself from the distractions. Also live very, very close to our library. So if I did need time just away from everybody, like let's say if there were guests over here, I can just walk to the library. It's like 5 minutes away. But it's just staying consistent as well. Uh, the 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 practice material I'm referencing, and I'll get his name too, but we'll just call him electrical exam coach. He says at first, just dedicate 30 minutes a day. And 30 minutes a day, if you can be consistent, will lead to exponential growth and understanding because you're committing to that 30, 30, 30 every day. It's kind of like an investment account. If you're putting 2 to 5 to 7% into your account, it doesn't seem like much, but over years, that compound interest adds up and it outgrows and outpaces what you initially put in by, leaps and bounds. So it's the same thing here. You're investing 30 minutes a day, and that compound of just coming in every day, adding a little bit more and more is going to lead you right where you need to be. So that's carving out the time, staying consistent, immersing yourself. So I am a nerd. I love educational content. What I find myself doing is, at bare minimum, I would say an hour a day, replace a TV show and learn a little bit more about your trade, whether it's safety, uh, electricity for us, how it works, how do we get here, the history of electricity, the history of your trade, the history of uh, how do we get OSHA, whatever. Just give a little bit of time of that to that daily. That's going to help and fill in some gaps that you're going to naturally have because, again, you probably do one task and this is a broad space and you're pretty much touching all of this when you're testing for this. And if you're going to, especially if you're going to go further for your EC licenses, there's going to be more context you need to understand. So I say immersion. Feel like you're a contractor now. Feel like you're already responsible for a job site, for a crew, for getting people paid, for bidding jobs, and just take it serious. When I'm out in the field now, the questions I ask to some of the contractors and some of the foremen and some of the education that I'm getting, things that I probably haven't done where I have some experiences but not in-depth experience, I'm asking a question. So take time to immerse yourself in this as well. We talked about finding a quiet place. Oh, find a mentor. I know some really dope people for being in this space so long. So just talk to them, ask them about their experience with the test. What did they do? You know, some of them may have done the test 5 years ago, some may have done the test 20 years ago. But you're not asking for help with the questions, you're asking about the mindset you need to have to pass the test. It's just very important. Like, what space did they get into? Where were they at in life? Was it critical? Were they in a relaxed space to where it was no distractions? Did they have a huge family? Were they in a situation where this was so important and they needed it for a certain reason? All of that context adds value, and it helps you to take from each person's experience and build uh just the logic around your experience, and just taking from some of that wealth of knowledge and saying, okay, this is my situation. It's been done before. It's plenty of people who've passed this test. You just need to find the right advice for you and stick to it as well. And I think the final thing I will want to go over is notes. So since going to college, like, I was one of those kids in school who, and we'll like to say, oh, I didn't have to take notes. Well, I didn't have to take notes at times, but then there's times that I should have taken notes. So it wasn't always the best outcome for me not knowing how to take notes. Now, college is totally different. You need to take notes. You need to study. You need to understand. There's really no winging it for some of these topics. I'm taking chemistry right now. There's no winging it. You have to know what you're talking about. So taking notes is very important. And I think the first step, and this is going to be my method, so this is kind of like a gym for the guys and the girls getting it started. That first set of notes, just create a rough draft. You don't want to keep starting and stopping yourself. Just highlight key points of each topic. Just jot it down. This is a key point of box fill. This is a key point of load calculations. This is a key point of this and that. Just write it down. And what you're going to do is get up into a certain defined point. Then you're going to go back and you're going to refine those notes. You're going to make them more cohesive and understandable, and something that is going to be like your own little testing Bible. That's what you want to do on that second run. And then the third run will be going to that set of notes and creating a review system. This could be flashcards. This can be, it depends on how savvy you are, creating some kind of system with a database or whatever the case may be. Then you're going to use that review and then just drill down before the test. The electrical exam coach recommends 30 minutes a day leading up to the test, picking a date, and then just going hard 1 to 2 hours a day leading up to the test, just to keep it fresh on your mind. That sounds pretty good to me. I'm going to be a guinea pig. I'll let you know how that works out for me. I'm looking forward to scheduling my test date in a couple of weeks, and I will keep you updated. And just wanted to stop in and just give you guys some advice. So if anybody's in the same space that I'm in right now, this is some good notes. And if you're not, this is just something to refer to as you get started, whether you're waiting on approval or you want to just slow roll and slow bake some of the tools and I guess experience you'll need at some point. So I hope that was helpful for you. Thank you guys. I've been getting a lot of good feedback from this. I'm gonna continue to be consistent. We're all human, and this is a tall task, and this is something that I've been trying to focus on. But I will keep you updated as we move forward. This is Dantrell Felton, and this is Closing the Circuit as we go on this journey to becoming a master electrician. For all the new people here, don't forget to like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below, and I'll see you soon.